in the magazine for male adolescents, the boy was extremely well read by adults as well. The novel has attracted the praise and admiration of writers as diverse as Henry James, Jorge Luis Borges, and Seamus Heaney. It deals a lot with 18th century Scotland and allows the readers to relate to some of the major events going on at the time, like the struggle between the Catholic clans of Highland Scotland and the efforts of their Protestant British rulers to suppress them and their religion. Kidnapped is one of Stevenson's most politically charged novels, and it is also a paean to his homeland Scotland and its people. The way it is written is as if the readers are living in the time period, however modern readers are still able to relate to the characters, places, and situations. Widely purchased while Stevenson was alive, the book lost recognition after he died due to critics claiming it as just a boy's tale. In the mid-20th century, it did regain critic approval. The novel deals with real historical people, including one of the main characters, Alan Breck Stewart. All of these factors showed the historical significance, entertainment, and approval of critics worldwide, awarding it with the classification, a classic. In the novel Kidnapped, the characters portray the time period extremely well. David Balfour represents how Stevenson expected his intended young readers to view the events going on in Scotland at the time. He expected them to be unfamiliar with it and to probably have a negative outlook of the Highlanders. Stephen begins David this way before he is forced to mature through the many adventures and hardships he faces throughout the book. After he matures, he begins to respect the Highlanders. Stevenson wanted to write this book as a way of holding on to the small fragment that remained of the Scottish Highland way of life. Alan Breck Stewart, based off the real Alan Breck Stewart, represents the typical Jacobite of the time and their belief that the Scottish Stuarts should be the true kings of England. Alan remains stagnant, unlike David, throughout the novel. He teaches David clan politics and gains the respect of David, even though David is a Protestant Whig. He is also a great swordsman and guide, which all comes in handy throughout the book and on his adventures with young David. He is hunted throughout the whole book by enemy soldiers and does well at escaping the entire time. There are many other characters in the novel that portray the time period well. These characters include Mr. Campbell, the kind Protestant preacher that takes care of David after the death of his father, Colin Campbell of Glenure, the king's agent in the Highlands that is plotting to evict all Jacobite Stuarts from their homes, and James of the Glens, like most Highland chiefs, his powers are stripped by the English government. Robert Stevenson grew very aware of the split politics in his homeland. This shows in his work Kidnapped, dealing with the lowland Scots and the Highlanders. His father had always wanted him to be in charge of a lighthouse and not a writer, so they did a lot of traveling from place to place. Many of the places they traveled to are mentioned throughout Kidnapped. Stevenson actually wrote this book while being ill in 1886, having it take place in his homeland, Scotland. While alive, Robert Stevenson was that of a celebrity in the literary world. His expectations had been to reach the minds of young boys, and the outcome became him causing the appraisal of adults of all ages. He now ranks among the 26 most translated authors in the world, and it is said that he seemed to pick the right word up on the point of his pen, like a man playing spillikins. Now, comparing two movies to the book Kidnapped. There is very little difference between the book and the movies. They are all in the same century and same setting of Scotland. The central characters are all around the same age and have the same general personalities. The 1960 film is actually considered one of the best-made films of the books. Most of the characters are English, so it's a little bit off, but it still gets the point across. The only character that may be a little bit off would be David. At times he sounds a little too American and a little bit whiny and spoiled. Overall, the movie does a great job conveying the adventure and politics of the time period. Stevenson would have been proud. The 1971 is considerably well done, although not all of it is filmed in Scotland. Alan Breck is dressed slightly funky for the time period and a little bit overdone. Another major difference is that it combines the sequel to the novel Kidnapped, creating the plot to be slightly altered. This movie also uses English actors, which are not Scottish, but to be honest, they still once again get the correct point across. Overall, Kidnapped is a classic that intertwines politics and adventure.